What is going on, guys? My name is Danny, and you probably just finished watching the 2026 Camino de Santiago Portuguese route hiking video. Big thank you for all of you that have checked out the video. I wanted to go over some of the logistics of our trip to help any future peregrinos. Before I do, I just wanted to note that I definitely need to get better about filming the end of the hike, right? If you've ever watched any of my videos on YouTube before, you'll notice that I rarely ever film the end of the hike. Especially with this video, we didn't really film a ton in the square by the cathedral. We got there, we got to Santiago, we turned into the cathedral square. I was hiking with my wife and my father. And when we got there, we kind of just burst into tears and we hugged each other. We embraced, we were crying. And I didn't want my camera or my phone to act as a distraction. I wanted to just be present in the moment. So I didn't record. And then we embraced and I kind of just fell to the ground and sat in the rain staring at the cathedral for about 20 minutes before we decided to go to our hotel for the night. We went back the next day to get our credencial. We took a little bit of video, but it was raining. The weather wasn't great. My wife wasn't feeling super great either. We were all sore and tired. So I didn't get a lot of footage. So I need to be better about doing that in the future. But, a lot went into this trip. A lot went into making this video. So I kind of want to give you guys a rundown of everything that led to our trip this year. So, I've wanted to hike the Camino since probably about 2011, 2012, when my dad and I first watched the movie The Way. I'm sure I'm not the only one that watched that movie and decided to go and, walk to Spain, walk to Santiago de Compostela. And for a long time, it kind of just felt like a pipe dream. It felt like something that, would never happen. It's going to be on the bucket list forever. Maybe one day when I'm retired or I'm 50 or I'm going through some sort of midlife crisis or I hit the lottery, I can afford to go to Spain for a couple weeks. Flash forward to around Easter 2025. My wife and I just decided to start looking at flights and start actually, considering this to be a possibility. We booked our flight. We asked my dad if he wanted to come with us. He said yes, and we started to get ready. We booked our flight with Iberia Air. We live in Orlando, Florida, in the U.S. I wouldn't particularly recommend Iberia Air. Not that there was anything wrong with the flight per se, but their customer service leaves something to be desired. You can really only chat with them on WhatsApp, which is kind of sketchy, in my opinion. There's no real phone number to actually chat with a live human being. So if you're trying to change flight information or, upgrade your ticket, it's very difficult to do so. So if there are alternatives for you, I would highly recommend looking into those alternatives. So we flew out of Orlando, Florida into Charlotte, North Carolina. From there, we got a connecting flight to Madrid. And there, we got a connecting flight finally into Porto. We arrived in Porto early, I think it was a Monday morning, April 20th or April 21st. We took a taxi to the cathedral to pick up our scallop shell and our pilgrim passport. And then we went back to our hotel room as soon as we were able to check in. We slept for about 16 hours in the hotel room. And we left the following morning to begin our journey toward Santiago. We walked for about 14 days, averaging about 13 miles or so a day on the Litoral route. I think our highest mileage day was about 17, 18 miles or so, and the least we did was a little under 10. My dad's not a huge hiker, so I didn't want to kill him. My wife and I, hike all the time. My wife works out every morning. She wakes up at 5 a.m. to go work out like a crazy person. I'm not that disciplined. In fact, I hardly trained for this at all. And I was super concerned that I would be bowing out in the first couple of days because I was too sore, because I wouldn't be able to move my legs, riddled with blisters, whatever. That did not end up being the case. I felt great. I was able to do it. So, I'm not going to sit here and tell you not to train, but, I feel like it's hard to train for something like this. I really feel like you need to just go out there and do it. Listen to your body. If you're tired, take a break. If you feel like you can keep going, keep going. Don't overexert yourself. Stay within your limitations. But what the Camino taught me is we are capable of so much more than we give ourselves credit for. And that's a really beautiful thing that, if you put your mind to it and you say to yourself every day, I can't quit because I'm here in Portugal or Spain. There's no alternative. I have to walk. You're going to be able to do it. Within 20 minutes on the trail, you're going to be feeling fine. Gear. I used a Hyperlight 40-liter bag. It's a frameless bag. It fit everything I needed to bring with me. I brought a inflatable pillow, a sleeping bag liner, a camping blanket. I brought a pair of flip-flops, a dry bag filled with clothes, mainly, Patagonia running shorts, REI sun hoodies, a buff, an extra hat, stuff like that, a toiletry bag, first aid kit, trekking poles, which I didn't use a ton on the trail. I understand the merit, and I think that for maybe older hikers or people that aren't as experienced, they might find them to be more of a benefit than I did. I just didn't use them a ton. I maybe used them 3 times the entire time we were there. I brought a headlamp. I brought a portable charger, a rain jacket. I didn't bring any cold weather clothing, even though it was probably in the 50s to high 60s the entire time we were walking. I brought some leggings to go underneath my shorts and the sun hoodies, and I was plenty warm. Sunglasses, a Kindle, stuff like that. And yeah, we were pretty good. I didn't even really pack a water bottle, to be honest with you, because the entire time you're walking, you're passing by water refill stations, especially early on in Portugal. And you're passing by little convenience stores and grocery stores where you can hop in and you can buy a water bottle. And the grocery stores there sell them in 1.5 liter bottles, which is plenty. You refill it, later on in the day before you go to bed. You fill it again in the morning and you're good to go. Accommodations. The first couple nights we stayed in the municipal albergues. I would definitely recommend pulling out cash for those, as a lot of them only accept cash. And they were fine. We didn't have any issues with, bed bugs or anything like that. Just make sure you pack, a sleeping mask or earplugs, and you'll be good to go. We also stayed in some hotels. We stayed in some private albergues. As we got closer to Santiago, especially after we left Vigo and we approached the 100-kilometer mark where the coastal and central routes converge, and where you have a lot of hikers just finishing the last 100K, accommodations were a little more difficult to come by. So we did start to book in advance using Booking.com. We were able to find, hotels and guest houses, Airbnb type places, in town that we were able to book, and we had no problem. But yeah, the journey took about 2 weeks. And I'm ready to do it all over again. So if you're on the fence about hiking and walking the way of St. James, stop thinking about it. Book the flight. Do it. Get out there. Make an incredible memory for yourself. Become closer to God, closer to your family, your wife, your friend, whoever you want to walk with, even if it's by yourself. And just get out there and do it. And I'm sure that I will see you out there again at some point. Anyway, my name is Daniel. Thank you for watching. Buen Camino.